Today, I'm going to help you find your superpowers, those amazing gifts that got you noticed as having leadership potential. Your powers have both a light side and a dark side. There are times when your powers are a little too much. There are times when your powers get on overdrive. And like the Incredible Hulk, your powers are too much, too grandiose for the situation and become destructive. And they don't want to tell you because they can't quite put their finger on it. They can't find the words to describe what they're experiencing. And so instead, they can only come up with labels. And they don't want to tell you these labels. Nope. They're going to tell other people. And they're going to talk about it in succession planning behind those closed doors. And it's going to be labels like, she's a little too impatient. He's a little too demanding. I think she's a bit egotistical. He's too rigid. Those are the kind of labels they're going to talk about. That's how I found out about my superpowers. I was that up-and-coming manager. I was that high potential. I always got the outstanding reviews. I got the company's most prestigious award. And on top of it, I was the CEO's speechwriter. Pretty impressive. And so I was asked to apply for an executive development program. And I thought I had a really good chance. And I went through all the different levels, and I was still making it. And finally, my boss calls me into his office and says, "You didn't make it." And I'm like, "What?" So I ask him why, and what kind of response do I get? Now, come on, we've all said it. The other person had more experience. They've been in their position longer. Perhaps they just, had a little more something that the team was looking for. I knew that wasn't true. I knew there was something he wasn't telling me. And so I pressured. No, still didn't get anything. So I decide, hey, I have a good relationship with the CEO. Let me go talk to him. He's going to tell me. He'll know. So I do. I go into the CEO's office and I say, "Hey, Pete, will you please tell me why I wasn't selected?" And he sees that pleading in my eyes and he says to me, "Carlann, I don't experience you this way, but other people can see you as unfriendly." Unfriendly? What? What? And I sit there with my mouth open for a little bit. And he sees it and he goes, well, I think what you need to do is figure out what's causing this. I'm like, "Yeah, certainly. Thank you." And I leave, and I go back to my office. But I'm not just walking. Oh, no, because I've got all this adrenaline. Unfriendly? I'm not unfriendly. Don't you dare tell me I'm unfriendly. I have friends. They like me. I am that person who picks up every stray dog and cat, and I find them homes, loving homes. I'm that person who stands up on the bus or the subway and lets the old farts sit down. I am friendly. And if you know yourself, you go to that deli counter and you forget to pick up that little tag, do I jump in front? No. I say, "I think it's this person's turn. They forgot their little tag." That is how frickin' friendly I am. So I sit there and I go through this whole thing. And that day, I'm trying to get my work done, but I'm still venting about how friendly I am. So that night, what do? I go home and I tell my husband just how friendly I am. I sit there and I say to him, "I don't even like your mother and I'm still nice to her." And he just sits there and he looks at me and he's like, because I've trained him very well. And so the next day, so I sit there and I go, okay, I've got to figure out, why am I so unfriendly? And finally, this bubble of energy bursts and it's done. And I take a deep breath. And I say to myself, "I am unfriendly." Ugh, I could feel the truth in it. So I say it again out loud. I am unfriendly. Oh man, there is something that is just tearing at my heart. And I'm this analytic person. I have to go figure out root cause. It's the way I've been trained. So now I've got to sit there and what in the world could be causing this perception that I'm unfriendly when that's not my intent? And I start to go through it, and if you worked for me, you would know it. What do I do after a weekend? Do I come in, ask you how your weekend was? Nope. I come in, I say hi, and then I get right into work. And if you dare stop me after I say hi, because you're all excited because you took your kid to the zoo this weekend, and it was so cute when they saw the giraffe and were talking about the black tongue, and it was like, and then you want to tell me all of this, and I'm standing there, my eyes glaze over, my brain is like, can you please hurry up so I can get back to work? So I come up with all of these ways that I can be perceived as unfriendly. So I go back to my team the next day and I gather them and I say, look, I need your help. I've been told that I can come across as unfriendly. All right? They're like, oh my God, she knows. Oh my God, somebody told her. Who would risk telling her? They're not going to tell you, but guess what? I will. I'm going to tell you right now what your superpower is. I'm going to tell you what your Herculean strength is so you can avoid those cringe-worthy moments and that Hulk-like behavior. I'm going to help you right now master your superpowers. And there's 3 things you need to do to master these superpowers. The first one, please acknowledge your amazing gifts. No superpower is better than another. As a company, we love it when we have all 10. No one is worse than another. They all can be destructive. I had the wonderful pleasure of training thousands of leaders. I also had the pleasure of facilitating hundreds and hundreds of succession planning discussions, of being able to give thousands of leaders the interpretation of their 360 feedback, to coach them, to tell them how to read between the lines of their performance feedback. And I kept seeing patterns. I kept seeing patterns. Most leaders felt like, I'm not good enough. There's something I'm missing. Oh, no, no, no. It's not that you're missing something, it's you're a little too much. But what we want to make sure we do is first embrace those wonderful gifts. Know that is what your company wants you to keep. Do not get rid of your superpower. It's one that's going to keep propelling you up that leadership ladder. The trick is to figure out, how do you overuse it? When do you overuse it? What triggers you into overusing it? And then bring it back into balance very quickly. How about the dependable achiever? I bet we got a few in here. Right? You want to get the A. You want to make sure everything's done at 110%. And the company loves you because they know they can throw anything at you and you're going to make sure that it's of high quality. You're going to work whatever hours are needed. You're going to call in on your vacation for that important meeting. You're going to make certain that you put all that extra effort because you know what? You were that person when you were put on a team project, either early in your career or even back in school, and there were a few slackers. You're the one who dove in and made certain that those gaps were closed so that the team could get the A. But when it gets too strong, you put the work in work-life balance. You're burning that candle at both ends. And even if you have learned not to be the taskmaster of your team, you're still the taskmaster of yourself. You're still holding yourself to these unrealistic expectations that everything has to be outstanding. Now, all you got to do, this sounds so easy, is take those high priority items, make sure those are outstanding, and find a few lower priority items, and let those meet expectations. All right, you want to know who our dependable achievers are right now? When I say meet expectations, I want you to have something meet expectations. They're squirming. Meet expectations. That's like a C. That's like subpar. That is not a C. And I had to learn this. Meet expectations is we want you to already meet our extremely high expectations. And since this is not one of the highest priorities, that is fine. When you're on overdrive, you're seen as impractical because you're driving for everything to be of highest quality, the taskmaster, the workaholic. And how many here are these dependable achievers? All right. Pick that thing and look at yourself and say, I almost got hooked in that meeting. What was I fearful of? And what was that fear attached to? And once you get down to that level, you're going to be able to see it hooks right back to that superpower. When I'm an able analytic and I go on overdrive, the fear is that I'll be seen as weak, that I won't be seen as strong enough. Ooh. If I'm that humble leader, my fear is that I'll be seen as boastful. If I'm the problem solver, I want to be seen as responsible. So whatever that is, and it can be different for you, just name that fear and then go, is that true? Is that true that people would judge me that way? Can I be 100% certain that that is true? You have amazing superpowers. And with great power comes great responsibility. Your team is hoping and knowing that you can bring this wonderful superpower to save the day. Use your superpowers wisely. Learn your fight or flight response, breathe deeply, and use childlike curiosity. Thank you.